Welcome back. This is the fourth episode in the Investor Pitch Deck Masterclass Mini-Series, where we're showing you how to make your investor pitch deck in 11 slides. If you're just joining us, make sure to go back to episode 1 in the series because every slide builds on the other. In this episode, we're covering 2 slides, your financials and funding slides. Let's start with financials. Why your financial slide matters. This is where your business story really comes alive. You're about to see how much money you can make with your product or service. A business plan or pitch deck without financials is incomplete and creates a huge risk for you. Don't skip this slide because you don't want to lose time or money on a business idea that isn't financially viable. If you're saying, but Brandon, I'm not good with numbers, not to worry. I'll make this incredibly simple. Your goal is to create a slide that projects your revenue and expenses for the next 12 to 18 months in detail and has projections for a 5-year time horizon in a simple chart format. When you sit down to build this, use a spreadsheet, either Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. There is no substitute here. There are 3 financial documents you need to be aware of. Number 1, the profit and loss statement, sometimes referred to as P&L. Number 2, your cash flow statement. And number 3, your balance sheet. For your pitch deck, we're only focusing on one, your cash flow statement. Cash is king. When I started my first company, a lawyer told me, kid, here's the most important acronym you'll ever learn. DROOFM. Don't run out of freaking money. Cash is king. That's why we focus on cash flow first. P&L and balance sheets are important. You just don't need them yet. When your business gets rolling, you'll hire an expert to help with those. So what is a cash flow statement? Your cash flow statement shows all cash inflows from sales and investments and all cash outflows, your expenses, during a given period. Here's the critical thing. Just because revenue shows up on your P&L doesn't mean you actually have the cash. Here's a quick lesson on cash flow. It's possible that on a profit and loss basis, you're wildly profitable, but you actually go out of business. An example, you have an e-commerce business and you do $1 million in sales in January. All of your costs equal 80%. So in this case, $800,000, leaving a $200,000 in profit. But here's the thing. Your credit card processor holds 20% of sales in reserve for chargebacks and returns. That means of the $1 million, you only got $800,000, and you need that $200,000 in profits to buy more inventory, but you don't have it. You look profitable on a P&L basis, but on a cash flow, you're broke. That's why cash flow is the key document. Investors want to see 3 things. Number 1, realistic revenue projections. Number 2, proof you've thought through every cost. And number 3, a clear path to profitability. Show them you understand the math of making money. When you sit down to build your cash flow statement, here's what you need to work through. Your revenue side of things. You'll need to determine how much you'll sell your product or service for. $29.99 for a product, $150 an hour for a service. Then figure out how many units or hours you'll sell each month for the next 12 to 18 months. Here's the key. Your sales should ramp up each month. Don't just divide the total of sales by 12. For example, if you think you'll sell 120 units in year 1, don't say 10 per month. You might sell 2 in month 1, 3 in month 2, 5 in month 3, and so on. Sales ramp up. Plan for that because that impacts cash flow. If your product is seasonal, make sure units sold are in the right months. And think about when you'll actually collect payment. If you make a sale in March, but don't collect until April, put that cash in April. Timing matters, as you already know by now. You'll also need to calculate what it costs to produce your product or service. If you're manufacturing, product costs, packaging, import fees, transportation, storage. If you accept credit cards, estimate 2.5% of total price plus 25 cents per transaction. Card processors often hold your money for 30, 60, or even 90 days if you process high volume or accept returns. Factor that delay into when that cash actually hits your account. On your expense side, we want to group things into 4 buckets to make it easier to think through. Bucket 1, people costs. When you hire W-2 employees, you'll need to account for base salary, bonus if any, health insurance, your portion, 401k matching, payroll taxes, estimate about 7% give or take of salary, and equipment they need, computer, phone, printer, which will be an upfront cost, and then what monthly services, think email apps, etc., that they'll have. You also want to list out the positions you need, all the associated costs, and note which month each person starts. Bucket 2, operational costs. This includes office rent, utilities, maintenance if you have a physical space, software and hosting, think Google Workspace, Microsoft 365, website hosting, your CRM, email marketing, QuickBooks, etc. Hardware, computers, printers, and things like that. Office supplies that you'll need. Insurance, estimate at least $150 per month as a placeholder. And phones, business lines, cell phones, online phones. Bucket 3, growth costs. This is everything that helps you sell and scale. Think sales and marketing, your website creation, hosting, paid ads, events, trade shows, professional services, your accountant, your lawyer, graphic artist, other consultants, travel, customer visits, conferences, team gatherings, and meals. Eating out with clients and meals while traveling. Keep this separate from travel because many meals are only 50% deductible. Bucket 4, buffer. Pro tip, add 5% to a miscellaneous line. Take 5% of all of your expenses and allocate it to miscellaneous. Things always cost more than you think. This buffer saves you from scrambling for cash if you didn't plan for it. A simple example. Let me show you what it looks like in practice. Month 1, $500 in revenue, $5,000 in expenses, you're negative $4,500. Month 6, $3,000 in revenue, $6,000 in expenses, you're negative $3,000. Month 12, $8,000 in revenue, $6,500 in expenses, you're positive $1,500. That's your path to break even. You can see exactly when you'll stop earning cash and start making money. That's what investors want to see. In your financials worksheet, you'll also want to have a marketing tab to estimate all of your marketing costs that will ultimately give you your customer acquisition costs, your average revenue per user, and lifetime value. If you have some element of a subscription, you also want to have churn curves in another tab so you can accurately estimate your number of subscribers at the end of each month. This marketing sheet feeds your revenue line in your cash flow and ultimately your P&L. What your spreadsheet will show you. Once you've built your spreadsheet, months across the top, line items down the left-hand side, you'll see exactly what your business looks like. One major number you'll want for your slide, how much will it cost in startup costs? You should see that at the bottom of your cash flow statement as it's calculating your net losses and gains. This is your total cash burn before you break even, a critical number for investors. If the numbers work or don't work, if your revenue exceeds your expenses and you make a profit at some point, congratulations, you have a viable business. If your numbers don't work, you have 3 options: raise prices, cut costs, or pivot the model. Don't just hope it works out. Make the math work before you pitch investors, because I promise you, if there is any slide they are going to dig into, it's going to be this one. This is your business model. It's all of your slides translated into numbers. Not all businesses make money in their first year or even their second. The real question is, can your company eventually make a profit? How much time and money will it take to get to that break even? And note that investors ultimately might not want you to break even if you can, because they want you pouring the money into sales and marketing to drive exponential growth numbers so you can get a step up in valuation on your next round. Be realistic. If you're unrealistic and wind up needing more cash, you're the one who has to figure out where that comes from. Here's what you'll do with all this information. When you're ready to build this slide, you'll create a cash flow statement with all the revenue and expense items that we just covered. Calculate your startup costs and monthly burn rate. Figure out when you break even. Then create a simple chart showing your revenue and expenses over 12 to 18 months. That chart becomes your financial slide. Use the financials template download if you don't want to start from scratch. It'll get you started. Link is in the show notes. And again, all the downloads are free. Your financial slide connects directly to your funding slide, which we're covering next. Okay, here's where we're going. You've shown investors how much money you'll make and when you'll be profitable. Now you've got to show them the team that's going to execute that. Slide 9, your team slide. Now you're ready to talk about your team, the people who, along with you, are going to execute your business plan. Here's why investors care. Investors bet on people, not just ideas. They've seen great ideas fail because of bad teams and mediocre ideas succeed because of great teams. Remember that Twitter, now X, started as a podcast app that ultimately failed, but the founders figured out how to pivot. There are countless other examples of where an idea didn't work, but the team figured it out. This slide proves you have the right people to execute. Here's why your team matters. Your company, regardless of its stage, needs a strong team. You need passionate, driven, highly skilled people. If you're just starting out and have limited resources, you're going to be tempted to settle for someone who will work for now. Even if you can't afford that level you need, or you're anxious to get started, don't compromise on team members, ever. Here's the deal. Building a business is hard. Statistics say that no matter how good your product or service is, the odds are against you. Because of this, you need to control every variable you can control. And in this case, that means being strict on hiring. You can't afford to waste time managing a bad egg or waste money paying them to do work that never gets done. Here's what goes on this slide. Your slide will have pictures of your team with highlights of their background underneath, backed up by their resumes. Here's the things you'll need to answer. When you build this slide, show who's on your team today, what positions will you need to fill and when, who should be on your advisory board and your board of directors. Here's how advisors work. They're not legally bound to your business. They help you because they like you. They may be compensated with equity, dinners, or just gratitude. Board members, on the other hand, they're different. They're legally bound to your business. They have expertise in different areas, and it's why you put them on your board. They're a mix of investors and independent members, and they cost equity and or cash compensation. Think skills first, then people. What investors don't want to see? Here's what kills a team slide. A team of 5 co-founders with the same skill set. No one with domain expertise or gaps in critical roles that you've already acknowledged. Show investors you know what you need and how to fill the gaps. Here's a framework I developed for choosing team members over 2 decades of building companies. I have 12 total traits I look for. You can find them in the show notes as a download. But here are the top 3 you absolutely cannot compromise on. Number 1, self-teaching and problem solving. Self-starters who figure things out without hand-holding. Number 2, subordinate to the mission. The mission to succeed is bigger than themselves. Even when they disagree, they fall in line and don't have a "I told you so" attitude. And number 3, willing to challenge authority. They speak up when they don't agree. You don't want yes people following you. No one's perfect. But if someone's missing these 3 traits, they're a risk. The overarching idea, selection is an ongoing process. Being selected doesn't give someone the right to stay on the team. Everyone earns their position daily. Here's what a great team looks like. If you're a visionary founder who hates details, don't hire another visionary. Hire an operator who loves spreadsheets and execution. Zuckerberg hired Michelle Sandberg. Jobs hired Tim Cook. Visionaries plus operator. That's the winning formula. You need to be brutally honest with yourself. Some weaknesses you'll overcome. For example, if finance isn't your thing, you can learn enough to ask, are we going to have enough money this month? But you realize you're not going to do your own taxes. You'll hire a professional. Some things you're never going to overcome, and that's not a bad thing. It's who you are. What's bad is having that blind spot and not knowing what you're not good at and thinking you're good at everything. If you're not a great manager, but you're a great visionary, find someone who can run projects for you. Be honest and find people who fill in the gaps, not duplicate your strengths. Look, starting a business can be a lonely job. Join a peer group, YPO, EO, a mastermind. Even if it costs money, the support is 10x the cost. So what are you going to do with all of this information? When you're ready to build this slide, answer the questions I just walked you through. List your current team with their backgrounds. List the positions you need to fill and when. And remember, those positions you need down the road are going to show up in the month you think you'll hire them in your financial spreadsheet. Use the 3 traits as your hiring guide. Be strict. Your team is the key to your business success. And after you build this slide, go back and check your financials. You may have discovered positions you didn't think about before. Update your financials to reflect the team you need and all of their associated costs. It's all part of the process. Like I said in the first episode of this mini-series, Your pitch deck is a living, breathing thing you can change frequently as you learn and as your business grows. All right, here's where we stand. You have your elevator pitch. You set up your problem. You showed your solution. You know the size of your market and how you'll sell into it. You have your milestones and traction. You know your competition. You have your financial model showing how you're going to make money. And now you have your team and the plan to build it out. In the next episode, we're covering your close, your funding and summary slide. You'll learn how to tell investors exactly how much money you need and what you'll do with it. Then, how to wrap up your pitch with a powerful summary. You're almost there. Let's finish strong. I'll see you in episode 5 of this Masterclass Investor Pitch Deck Mini-Series.